Hey YouTube, this is Kevin Boland of Boland Small Engine, and today I just wanted to show some of the tools that you would need if you were going to do a valve job on a 3.5 Briggs & Stratton engine. These engines are very popular, been around for many years, but there's a lot of misconceptions about what tools that you need and how you should go about doing this particular job. I'll tell you right now, a lot of people like to lap valves. I'm not a big fan of that. I think honestly that you're just doing a patch job. The motors are not going to hold up. More often than not, you'll put your engine back together. It may run for maybe a week or two, and then you're back into it again. So I would recommend that if you're going to do a job like this, get these tools out of your head, okay? They're piss poor, okay? That's the best advice I can give you. Don't use them. You're just wasting your time and your money. I will tell you that if you have access to a valve grinder, like I do, you can find a machine shop anywhere, and they'll typically, most of them have a valve grinder. You really need a good valve grinder, alright, if you're going to do this professionally. Howsoever, if you're just the regular Joe out there trying to fix your lawnmower, take it to, like I said, a machine shop. They should have one. Okay, the next thing I would tell you to do if you're an average Joe, make sure that you purchase a manual, a repair manual, okay, for the engine that you're working on. Don't take your buddy's advice and say, oh, you can slide an index card between them and it'll work, okay? I've heard that for years. Believe me, guys, it doesn't work, okay? You're wasting your time and you're wasting your money. Don't do it. Buy the repair manual. There are many tools, okay, that you can use for this job. I personally like the New Way valve seat cutter for cutting the valve seats. They do make a valve seat grinder. They are wonderful tools. I use them where I work at, okay. I've worked for Baker's Lawnmower for years, and he actually has the valve seat grinder. There's nothing wrong with them. They work too. But the New Way valve seat cutter just took the place, and in my opinion I think it does just a little bit better job, but like I said, either tool will work just perfectly. The next thing I'll tell you need is a good set of feeler gauges. Now I know what you're wondering, why in the world would you need feeler gauges? Well, these valves, once they've been ground or lapped, the stems have to be cut down, okay? If they're not, then your valve lash won't be correct, and when you try to put your engine back together and give it a pull, you will have your fingers basically ripped off of your hand because the cord will try to kick back on you, okay, your pull cord. So take my advice, get you a set of feeler gauges, and you'll understand why you need them momentarily. Also, I didn't mention, on this valve, this particular valve is not out of a 3.5, it's actually out of a 12.5. I had no 3.5s tore down. I should have better prepared for this video, but what you're seeing on the bottom is not fingernail polish, okay? It's Dykem, okay? It's a very popular layout fluid for metal. You'll also see later as to why this is important. When you're doing your valve job, keep in mind that they make a very special valve guide for these small engines. This, of course, is the valve guide for a 3.5. It's very important that you have these valve guides, because 90% of the time when you're doing a valve job on a small engine like this, the valve guides themselves are wore out. You'll have to replace them, assuming that they even have them in the block. I have seen some of the engines that didn't have valve guides put in them. If they're new, they're probably not going to have them in there. You're going to have to do some reaming and some drilling in order to get it to go in. But that's not a problem. We have the tools to do that. These tools right here are typically the tools that are used to do that said job. These are reamers. Now there's various ones that I have here. I've just slid them all in the same box. They have numbers on them. So that's how I'm actually able to keep up with which reamers go to the 1/4 inch, the 5/16. I think there's a few for some OHV engines that are there, but basically I'm just, like I said, addressing the 3.5. This is a gauge that is typically used to slide down into the hole that this valve seat would go in once the valve is removed. If this gauge can go down into the hole and actually enter it, then you know that your valve guide is wore out. I'll tell you though, even though this is what Briggs recommends, and I'm not big on cutting corners, guys, I'll tell you this though. If you can grab that valve and you can shake that valve and there's a lot of movement, I typically see this on the exhaust valve, then you need to put a valve guide bushing in. It is important, okay? Trust me. They're not that expensive. The tools aren't that expensive. I think over the years I've spent maybe $60 on all this. You can get them on eBay. They're not that expensive. When they came out they were. But as I said, there's not very many L-head engines around anymore. So you can pick these up pretty reasonable. I didn't really show off much of the valve seat cutter up to this point. I'm going to actually show how this works. You have a cutter, as you can see. There's different angles on the cutter. I'll see if I can zoom in to show you. Yeah, you can see there's a 31 that's this way and a 46 that goes this way. This is the tool that's used to actually drive the cutter. Some people think they can hook these up to a drill. Guys, don't do it. Okay, it's not smart. There's a reason that they gave you a handle, even though obviously I have dropped it. This would be the handle, which you can see it enters into the socket. Okay, this is considered a socket. This, which I'm about to show you, is called a pilot. You can buy these on eBay. These particular ones came with the actual valve seat cutter set. But it's a very important little tool to have. And basically all you do is, when you're trying to cut your seat, you place it on there. If you read the repair manual, it'll tell you what angle, you know, depending on the model that you have, as to whether it's a, you know, a 30 degree or a 45. Although you can see that the valve seat cutter is on a 31 and a 46. I always thought that was a little strange too, but when you read the manual, they'll tell you. The last tools that I'm going to mention are a caliper and a good set of micrometers. A lot of people know about micrometers, but they don't realize that there is a tool to actually calibrate micrometers. Those tools are called standards. If these standards, okay, are not used with these micrometers, over time these micrometers can go out of adjustment and you will not get an accurate reading. I also use the standards when I'm calibrating my dial calipers. And I would highly recommend that you do that. Okay, keep your standards clean. At this point, I think I pretty well covered all the tools. And I'm running out of time, it looks like, on my card. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video. And I'll pick up from here in my next video. Talk to you guys later.